It's class size over money. Public school teachers could be on strike in a week. No escape from the protests. Premier Zhu gets a noisy reception wherever he goes. And in Sports Plus, a day for the history books. The great one hangs up his skates.
CFCN News with Tony Ty.
Good evening. With only 2 months of school to go, Calgary public teachers may walk off the job. The teachers today rejected the school board's contract offer. And as Shelley McCrugan reports, there is very little room for a settlement.
The meeting was short, the vote decisive. 94% of the some 4,600 Calgary public teachers said no to the board's latest offer. The major point of contention, pupil-teacher ratio, or PTR. It's currently 18.4 students to 1 teacher. The board wants changes, but teachers say they draw the line at PTR.
PTR is a concept that's over 20, that was developed 20 years ago that we could no longer afford. And we were hoping to work with the teachers to find a solution that's, that will help us to resolve one of the important issues, which is class size.
The board is going to have to reevaluate the direction it's prepared to take to erode learning conditions by, in fact, trying to get the PTR clause out of the collective agreement. If they continue in that direction, then the possibilities of a strike are certainly there.
The union says classrooms could shut down as early as Monday, April 26th, if there is no movement during negotiations this week. Teachers call it the 11th hour.
We now face the last option available to us under the collective bargaining process, and that is job action by teachers that would possibly close down Calgary public school system.
The board and its teachers still haven't resolved the length of an agreement. The board wants 3 years, the teachers 2. And the offer of a 10% pay raise over 3 years isn't resolved either. But it's a pupil-teacher ratio that has many teachers upset.
We do need a raise, and the quality education does matter to us, and we need both of them.
Pupil-teacher ratio is the only control teachers have over the quality of learning teaching conditions in our Calgary offering.
Wu Pa says she wants a deal that's fair to teachers and students and within the system's budgetary constraints. Teachers say they will not negotiate forever. They've already been trying to hammer out a deal for a year. Shelley McCrugan, CFCN News.
So, repeating, the teachers say if they can't break the deadlock over the PTR this week, they may strike as early as next week. And that prospect has the president of the Home and School Association frustrated. Colleen Connolly blames the province for the impasse over the pupil-teacher ratio.
We've been doing the letter writing, the phone calls, the rallies, inviting you around LA, and we're still stuck at this point, and so we're very frustrated and feel abandoned by our local MLAs in this whole situation.
Connolly says 30 students per classroom is too high. She says the pupil-teacher ratio is an issue with 50% of the school boards in Alberta. Demonstrators followed the Premier of China throughout the final day of his Alberta visit. Protesters were waiting outside the Palliser Hotel when Zhu Rongji left the city tonight. City police brought in extra officers to stop traffic and make sure the demonstrators stayed behind their barricades while the Premier and his entourage could leave for the airport. The Premier will spend the next 2 days in Victoria and Vancouver until he leaves for home. Earlier today, when the Chinese leader drove to Banff for a day trip, demonstrators were waiting for him at the entrance to the park gate. They held up banners and posters as Premier Zhu's motorcade drove through. The protesters followed him all day, even lining up along both sides of the streets wherever he went in Banff. Protesters chanted pro-Tibet slogans calling on China to end the occupation of the tiny country. The Chinese premier did do a little business in Calgary this afternoon, signing a trade agreement with Alberta. Premier Ralph Klein held a reception and signing ceremony designed to strengthen economic ties with China. The premier announced that Alberta will open a new trade office in Beijing this spring. An Alberta representative will be posted to the Canadian Embassy full-time. The premier also signed a formal agreement to expand operations between the China National Petroleum Corporation and the Alberta Petroleum Center. The deal means China will be Alberta's fourth largest trading partner. Breaking news tonight, RCMP in Pincher Creek have pulled the body of a woman out of the Castle River near Pincher Creek. It was found about 11:30 this morning. The medical examiner in Calgary will perform an autopsy tomorrow to determine the identity and the cause of death, and we'll have more details on the CFCN News tomorrow. The deadly Battle of Kitchener's Wood was commemorated in Calgary today. The Calgary Highlanders paraded through the downtown this morning to mark an epic and devastating battle in World War I. 82 years ago, the 10th Canadian Infantry Battalion led a daring attack at Kitchener's Wood. The German Army responded by releasing chlorine gas, the first use of chemical warfare in history. Despite the loss of life, the Canadians advanced and were able to save the port town of Calais, France. This weekend is also a reunion for the Calgary Highlanders, veterans from across Canada.
This is CFCN News.
Time to look at our weather forecast with Vicki Chase. And after a fabulous weekend, I don't know, can it be getting any better?
Well, that's the only thing. It won't be getting any better, but it will still be nice.
Good.
How is that? Yeah, we'll start off the work week pretty good, Tony. Let's go outside right now with the CFCN Skyview camera. We had an upper ridge that has been stretched right from the Yukon way down south through California down to Mexico, and it is because of that ridge that we've had such enjoyable conditions for the weekend. Now it's happening, we could see that start to break down, but in the meantime, it's still protecting us from anything that is trying to move in from the coast, and so anything that does affect us is developing just to the east, and there's an area of low pressure right now, and that is why we're seeing more cloud cover tonight. This low, though, will move down to the southeast, and behind it, the westerly flow remains, and with that, we still have a nice day ahead. Tomorrow, the cloud cover will break up, and we'll have a sunny day, and temperatures will still be in the high teens for the entire southern part of the province. Now for the provincial forecast up to the north, there's a chance of showers for the Grand Prairie and Peace Country for today, and then tomorrow that moves through to Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, high-level regions, a high of 12. Edmonton, Red Deer, chance of showers for the Edmonton region, but not for Red Deer, a high of 16. Lethbridge, Medicine Hat in the 20s today, once again 20 tomorrow with partly cloudy conditions. The mountain parks, there's a chance of some light flurries at the higher elevation, showers in the Banff area possibly, a low of 1, and then 15 for a high, 16 in the East Kootenays with some shower activity in the forecast. Now our extended forecast, 18 for tomorrow. There's a system that could bring some cloud and showers for Tuesday and Wednesday. Definitely cloudy conditions. Hopefully, we will see some precipitation from those clouds. And then Thursday, Friday, we rebound quite quickly, Tony, and already see a nice weekend to look forward to next weekend.
I like that 20. That looks good. We could use a little rain, too.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Vicki. I'll be back later with more news. Stay with us. Tammy Christopher is in next with Sports Plus.
CFCN Sports Plus with Tammy Christopher.
Good evening. Wayne Gretzky played his final game in the NHL this afternoon as the Rangers hosted the Pittsburgh Penguins. He described his retirement as devastating and disappointing, but said it was time. A very emotional day. Before the game got underway, Gretzky was greeted by his friends Mario Lemieux, Glenn Sather, and Mark Messier. He said Lemieux was the greatest player he ever played against, and Messier was the greatest he ever played with. There's his father, Walter. Gretzky receives the Mercedes as a gift, then addressed the family.
I wanted this to be a celebration because I feel so lucky that I was able to play in the National Hockey League. I feel so fortunate to have played with some of the game's greatest players, play against guys who I admire so much. And of course, you're nothing without family, and I have great parents, great brothers and sisters, some great friendships that I've developed over the years, and of course, most importantly, my kids and my wife, Janet, who I love dearly. Thank you all very much.
On to the game and his final appearance here as Gretzky looks for an assist, but McLean can't put it away. Then the Penguins score first, and it comes in the second period. Kovalev swipes it by Mike Richter, and the Penguins lead 1-0. Gretzky, though, picks up an assist on the equalizer. Passes to Schneider, and then Leach will score, and he beats Tom Barrasso. A power play goal makes it 1-1. That was the score after 2 periods as Gretzky collects assist number 1,963 and point number 2,857. He gets a point in his final game. His father Walter and mother Phyllis, as well as daughter Paulina, enjoy the game there. Gretzky tries to score the go-ahead goal, comes out from behind the net, but he is stopped by Barrasso. Fans were treated to a few extra moments of Wayne Gretzky because they went to overtime, but Jaromir Jagr scores the winner, and the Penguins take it 2-1 in overtime. Gretzky ends his career on the bench as Jagr scores at 122. Jagr won the scoring title with 127 points, and Jagr apologized to Gretzky after, saying he didn't mean to do it, and Gretzky said that's what he used to say. So people asked Wayne who he'd pass the torch on to, and he said it goes to Jagr.
Teammates have made this whole thing hard for me, and the response from the fans at the end, and not just the end, but through my 3 years here and 20 years in the NHL, I was savoring it. You know, I really, I got emotional a couple of times. This is not a passing on, this is a moving on, and that's the way I've kind of attacked these 4 days. And I'm going to miss this game. You guys cover it. It's a great game to cover. It's a great game to watch, and it's going to kill me not to play. But time does something to you, and it's time. And I feel really confident about my decision. I haven't wavered 1 ounce in the last 7 days.
An emotionally packed game at Madison Square Gardens, but really it was emotional worldwide. The outcome of the game wasn't exactly what Gretzky had hoped for, but it was a day of celebration as he intended. Tom Walters reports.
They came from Ottawa and got tickets.
This is the way we can say thank you to Wayne.
He came from Toronto and can't find a ticket.
It's going to be hard. It's very difficult to get one.
She came from Halifax, had tickets, but needed to get Kleenex.
I've been seeing little snips on the TV of things, and I've been crying for 2 days.
Crying about the end of the greatest career in hockey. It was an event that drew former teammates like Mark Messier and former rivals like Mario Lemieux. Bryan Adams sang the Canadian anthem, and even that was extraordinary.
We're gonna miss you, Wayne Gretzky.
And the NHL retired Wayne Gretzky's number 99. No team can use it now.
Words can't describe. I mean, when this gentleman, 1977, told me to wear the sweater, I didn't expect one day that they wouldn't let anybody else wear it again.
In the game, yes, there was a game, Gretzky got his final NHL point, an assist on a goal by teammate Brian Leach. And as the seconds ticked down, a timeout as thousands of cheering New Yorkers got to their feet.
They stopped the game, Mike.
That's when it really hit me that I was done. I looked up and I said, my goodness, I got 30 seconds to go.
The game was decided in overtime on a goal by Pittsburgh's Jaromir Jagr, who apologized to Gretzky. The skates gone forever. Gretzky wore sandals to a post-game press conference, looking more relaxed than he has all week.
Friday, I was emotional. I had a good cry at home on Friday before I went, and it's hard to get up and tell the world you're leaving.
Even if leaving does come with encores and ovations for a singular talent and a team player. As New Yorkers cheered him back onto the ice for a 3rd time, he beckoned his team to skate around with him. Applauded by his own and by his opponents, he left the game as gracefully as he played it.
And we'll have more on Gretzky a little later on. Well, the Calgary Hitmen and Prince Albert Raiders met in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final tonight at the Saddledome. Scoreless first period, and then in the second, the Hitmen connect on the power play. Stewart with the goal from Moran and Brendel, 1-0 Calgary. Just over a minute later, the Hitmen return for more. Smith with a shot that makes it through and beats Evan Lindsay. It's 2-0 for Calgary. Raiders got one back before the end of the period. Corey Morgan to Derek Paget, and he beats Fomachev 2-1 Hitmen after 2. High-scoring third, and the Raiders come out flying. Paget with his second ties it at 2, and then a power play goal moments later gave the Raiders the lead as Mark Brown is good on his second try, and Prince Albert is out front 3-2. 52 seconds after that, Paget unloads a drive and completes the hat trick. The shot deflected off a player, and it is 4-2 PA out front, but the Hitmen rally. First, they score a short-handed goal. Steenbergen with his first of the playoffs, and it's 4-3. And then the Hitmen fourth overtime as Brad Moran sets up Brandel for the equalizer. It's 4-4, so they're going to overtime, and the winner comes at 13-18. Brandel to Moran, and he scores on the backhander. It's the winner as the Hitmen defeat PA 5-4 in overtime. They lead the series 2-0. Hitmen down by 2 late. They rally for the win, and we hear from Brad Moran.
We still believed we had a chance to come back, and that was the biggest thing. Everyone believed, and we went out there and kept working hard. And I think the thing that hurt us most is when we sat back and we got a lead, and we're not going to be able to do that.
Hitmen take 2 in